Speed Weeks. Speed Weeks. We got your Speed Week kickoff right here. Good evening and welcome to Vidane TV. Here for the Grand National Series brought to you by Shift Marketing and Design, the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing Group, presenting the Yuhouse Racing Designs 50 here at Talladega Super Speedway. My name's Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., and I'm not here alone. Here with me, as always, Kyle Young and Kevin England. We got some great racing here. 50 laps at Talladega Super Speedway here in Talladega, Alabama. Kicking off a busy week here in the racing world, both in iRacing and in real racing. NASCAR's back. The Clash tomorrow night. The iRacing Daytona 500. That's tonight. Lots of big-time action coming up. Doubleheader tonight. Sim 500 action. The duels. The Trans-Service duels coming up right after this show. Lots of stuff going on. Kyle, how we doing tonight, brother?
Paul, doing great. Looking forward to a night full of super speedway racing here on the iRacing service. And as you mentioned, we're getting that kickoff started with the New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series here at the Talladega Super Speedway. We saw a lot of these drivers race at the iRacing Super Speedway just a few nights ago in the Super Truck Series. Now we bring the Super Speedway fun over to the Grand National Series in these ARCA cars. 50 laps around this big 2.66 mile behemoth of a racetrack. Should be a fun one. And Kevin, it's good to be sitting next to you here in the Vidane TV broadcast booth. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a quiet season, off season, and I'm ready to go racing again. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys. NEPS team always puts on a great race. We're expecting a fantastic show here at Talladega.
Really looking forward to these boys racing here. Always put on a good show, like you said, Kevin. And I actually want to take a quick moment to talk to one of the drivers, one of the league admins here, Corey Casagrande, and really want to know, Uber Deb wants to know, are you going to win us a damn race, Corey?
Man, I'm going to try, and I'm going to dedicate it to Uber Deb. She lit a fire under my ass. She told me to get my shit together, so we'll try.
Absolutely. Looking forward to a great show here tonight, Corey. Man, you guys always put on a great show. Stacked field, it looks like, here tonight. And it almost seems like we might see some teams, some of the Super Truck Series teams maybe working together tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think you'll see a little bit more of a tame race than you did on Friday night. We tend to take this stuff a little more seriously on Thursdays or Monday this week, but yeah, I think we're all going to try to make sure we're there at the end of the race. I think that's the biggest thing, and we did pretty good at Daytona. We just got caught up in the late wreck, and hopefully we're just near the front at the end.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll talk to you later on here tonight, Corey.
Thanks.
Good luck. It's Corey Casagrande, driver of the number 52, one of the league officials here, league owners here at the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing Group. Known Corey a long time, races pretty much anything he can get his self into at Stafford Motor Speedway, Jennerstown. He's running the Oxford 250 this year. So pretty racy driver up throughout the Northeast here. And Kevin, it's pretty cool to see these guys seem like they're fired up and they're getting ready to do some team racing here a little bit, Talladega Super Speedway.
Yeah, before we came on air, you and I were talking about all the snow we've been receiving in the Northeast, and we know that these guys in New England have had their share, but, it's nice and toasty, warm, getting into the sim, getting yourself fired up, getting that cobwebs of the winter shaken off. As you said, we're getting ready to roll into the real NASCAR season for Daytona, and a lot of drivers get really excited this time of year to come back into the season, and pace car rolls around, turn number 2 to go to the backstretch, and it's time to bring you tonight's lineup for the event. On the pole, Michael Hopkins is going to start the number 78 first. Dale Glessner in the number 10 is outside row number 1.
Third place starter driving the 09 machine tonight is Dylan Kopak, and in car number 31 next to him in position at number 4 is Anthony Aiello.
Lucky number 13 for Brandon Marhevka. He starts in the 5th position, and on his outside, Zane Farrell in the number 14.
The gentleman that we just spoke to in car number 52, Corey Casagrande, will start in position number 7. And on the outside of Corey is the winner from the Friday night Super Truck race at the iRacing Super Speedway. Claimed his very first New England, Pennsylvania victory, Brent Roy in the 26.
Yuhouse Racing Designs number 61 starts in the 9th position. 10th position for Matt Kenfield in the number 76.
Evan Bollier will line up in position number 11, and one of the drivers deep in the championship hunt. He enters tonight's race just 5 points out of the championship lead. That is the 46 machine of Ryan Libby.
Devin Marhefka starts in 13th, and the number 22, Jeffrey Brown, and the number 55 starts 14th.
DJ Gerard in the 81 will start in 15th, and then car number 44 starting 16th is Scott McDonald.
While Alexander in the 96 starts in the 17th position, Joey Coulter in the number 2 starts 18th.
Completing the rest of the field quickly, Kyle Casagrande, Charles Lewandowski in row number 10, Jason Ricker and Kenny Kibbe in row 11, and then John Peters and Austin Bulkey, the final 2 starters on tonight's grid. The green flag is in the air, and we are underway here at the Talladega Superspeedway for tonight's Yuhouse Racing Designs 50 for the New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series. The cars are on the loud pedal, working their way up through the gears for the very first time. That outside line very quickly starting to dissolve. Everybody dropping down to the bottom, the shortest way around this racetrack, and they'll come off of turn number 2 with Michael Hopkins in the lead.
Side by side going down the backstretch. Biggest racetrack on the NASCAR circuit, 2.66 miles. 33 degrees of banking. They could run wide open, big, wide racetrack. We'll see a top line, we'll see a middle line, and sometimes we're going to see that top line as they head into the banking over in the south end of the speedway. Michael Hopkins leads them from the bottom line coming off of turn 4.
Outside line starting to get a little bit more grouped up on the conclusion of this opening lap. They're about 3 rows back in this field, trying to build some momentum. They'll come out of the tri-oval, hit the start-finish line. Michael Hopkins will lead the first lap of tonight's race. Now that top side really starting to work well as they go into turn number 1. The 10 machine Dale Glusner is almost to the outside of Michael Hopkins, and now he is as they come through turn 2.
Yeah, Glusner draws alongside. They are door-to-door going down the back straightaway. He's got the Anthony Alello, number 31, pushing him down the backstretch. That car a little wiggly over there in turns 1 and 2, but it settled in and got a good draft, and it's going to push Glusner out to the lead.
2 even rows filling this lead pack right now. Dale Glusner trying to do what he can to take the race lead away from Michael Hopkins. Anthony Aiello, Brent Roy, Evan Bollier lining up the first 4 cars on that outside line. But the shorter distance around this racetrack, the bottom line prevailing for the moment, going to be very close at the line this time by. Hopkins will continue to lead. Now a third line starting to group up as Brent Roy and Evan Bollier jump to the outside safer barrier.
Way up there on the high groove is the number 26 of Brent Roy. Comes off of turn number 2. He's got a good head of steam. Will he pick up his own lane? He's going to do it. Draws up alongside first and second, and he's going to drive through to the lead to the backstretch.
The outside line gains a few more contenders. The 81 machine of DJ Gerard jumps up there. Ryan Libby also joining the 4th car back there in car number 46. 3 distinct lines of racing here on the 3rd lap at Talladega Superspeedway. Kevin, at least in my mind, it's one of the most beautiful things that you can see in motorsports, having a hungry pack of drivers racing 3 wide at Talladega.
Tell you what, Kyle, this is where I draw up in my seat, right? Riding in that middle lane is nervous. You got a car to the outside, you got a car to the inside, and the cars wobble all over the place, especially here as the entry in the corner. Maybe somebody gets a little bit of a push. You're just trusting that the driver, you're inside, you're outside, are going to hold their line, and you'll be able to drive through to the back straightaway cleanly.
And one of the biggest challenges that these drivers are going to face tonight while running these ARCA cars, it is very, very difficult to bump draft, even on the straightaways. These cars, whoa, we got trouble. Anthony Aiello makes contact with Michael Hopkins. He gets turned up into the outside wall, collects DJ Gerard, and we are going to pile up some cars in turns 3 and 4. I can see the 76 of Matt Kenfield is also involved in this incident. I believe we've got a few other cars also collecting some damage. Looking through the field here, not seeing too many cars actually that have damage. I can see the 22 Devin Marhefka is also involved in this incident, and with this first caution flag gives us an opportunity to bring in Paul Showtime Strickland Jr. with our very first Fatheads Eyewear instant replay of the evening.
Yeah, taking a look at it real quick here, Kyle. Looks like we had a little bit of a case of not quite clear. We're going to take a look at slow motion view here from the blimp. You can see the number 10 car of Dave Glusner. He clears the bottom down in front of Hopkins in the 78. The 31 of Anthony Aiello, not quite clear, gets into the front of the 78, and then he pardon me, clobbers that 81 car on the outside, that red machine there of DJ Gerard. Lots of damage on that machine, lots of damage to the 31 Bud machine, and we'll take one more quick look at it here, because we can do that here at Vidane TV, and you can see, again, the 10 car, he gets a great run, great push from the number 31, Anthony Aiello. He gets right up in the back bumper, pushes him up towards the lead, and he's able to clear him. In the 10 car, he's going to jump down low. No harm, no foul. Plenty of room down there as he moves in front of the 78. Boom, there you see it. And the 31 goes to follow him down there. Spotter just didn't tell him he was clear, and unfortunately, big hit. Oh, that's a big hit for the 81. The 22 of Marhefka gets a piece of it. The 76 of Matt Kenfield gets in it as well. So, tough break for some of these guys running up towards the front. Lots of big-time damage here, Kyle.
Indeed it is, and although it's never enjoyable to be caught up in a multi-car accident here at Talladega Superspeedway, the benefit for these drivers, as is the case in this series, is they do have one fast repair. So it always is a bummer to use that fast repair early, but they do have that get-out-of-jail-free card. They'll use it here. They'll be able to fix those machines and have an opportunity to contend for the rest of the race. But if you were just caught up in that wreck, now you got to be careful for the remainder of this race, because you no longer have that ability. You will have to suffer any damages that you collect throughout the rest of this race.
And what we'll do right now is we'll see if we can maybe get a word with our resident super speedway ringer here, Brent Roy. Brent, you won one of these races and you're leading the second one. All of a sudden you like these super speedway races, yeah?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, me and Evan just decided to go to the top there and see if we could get around to the front, and seemed to work, and just missed that wreck. So, there's two places that are safe, out front, out back. So just got to pick one.
Yeah, absolutely. Car looks good. You got the Wolf on the side and on the hood, 711. You got anything? This is 26 cars. Got anything for the rest of the field?
Oh, we'll see. I mean, we're working, lap 6 of 50 here. So we saw last, Friday, that, we had 6 to go. I was 20 seconds off the lead. So we'll see. I mean, it's all about keeping the fenders on it and, go from there. So at the end of this race, it's going to be pretty much a free-for-all. So we won't know till we get around to that tri-oval.
Absolutely. Well, good luck. Hopefully we'll talk to you in the podium later on.
Absolutely.
Brent Roy, the number 26 car, currently leading, won one of these super speedway races here not too long ago, and not necessarily a super speedway ringer, but right place, right time, and seems to be the right place, right time, right now, as he made the best, the best notes you could probably take here for Daytona, Talladega, or the iRacing Super Speedway here, Kevin. If you're out front or you're out back, you're not really in that calamity up in the middle.
Yeah, as long as you're not the one turning sideways, it's the best way to look at it is out your rear view mirror. A couple of those drivers, though, that I looked at, was just about to make a call of tactics. Well, we had these drivers mixing it up in the middle where that incident occurred. There were a couple drivers that laid off a little bit. I was looking at the 2 and a couple other ones. 46 of Ryan Bibby and the 96 of Wyatt Alexander, both able to get on the binders, both able to slow down. I did see the 96 hit a little bit of a debris going through that, but for the most part, they came through unscathed. And as you know it, Kyle, sometimes the best offense is a good defense.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. If last night's Super Bowl wasn't any indication of that, I don't know what was. And that is something that you'll definitely see here tonight as well, as being defensive will lead it to success. Usually you don't see defensive moves coming in these early stages of these races, but once you get down towards the end of a super speedway race, if you're out in front, you will definitely see blocks being made and drivers trying to do all that they can to gain as many positions as possible and keep as many cars behind them as they can. We're about half a lap away from going back to green flag, so while we have the opportunity, there was a development in the points championship chase for this series after last week's race at the Myrtle Beach Speedway on Thursday night. If you had tuned in for that event with us and remembered that on the final lap of the race, points leader Ryan Libby caused an incident going into turn number 1 that spun some cars around. Race control did decide to penalize him for that incident, and instead of getting the proper 5th place points in what I would assume to be 26 points or so, he was only scored 9 points. So that not only tightened things up in the championship battle, it also took away his championship lead. Initially, once the results were first addressed, Ryan Libby had a 12-point lead over John Peters. Now he comes into this race with a 5-point deficit with 4 races to go. So the championship battle between John Peters and Ryan Libby absolutely tightening up here at Talladega Superspeedway. You know that's going to make him a little bit nervous having to rely on a superspeedway to keep himself in the championship hunt.
Yeah, no doubt. These races are always a wild card. You want to run as clean as you can, but you're also running, as we said, door to door, bumper to bumper. Anything can happen, and it often does. As we get ready for the restart here, just hoping for a clean night and can get that back. And certainly has proven through the season that he's capable of doing it as the green flag comes out and drivers start to come up through the gears.
Brent Roy will lead the field down into turn number 1 on the bottom side. It is still Dale Glessner and the Channel Lock Chevrolet on the top side leading that lane. Evan Bollier, good shove to Brent Roy. He is going to be able to clear the top side lane, and right behind Evan Bollier in car number 13 is Brendan Marhefka. Now they're getting closer to full song coming down the back straightaway. Some drivers swapping lanes in the back, and speaking of swapping lanes, there goes Evan Bollier from the bottom to the top side to try to take the lead around Brent Roy.
Yeah, he's been Roy's dancing partner from the get-go, but he's going to jump out to the outside and see if he can be the bride there on the top. As Marhefka, that car looks really loose up off the corner. Every time it comes out of the banking, the back end steps out a little bit, but he's able to tuck it back in there behind Roy and see if he can push Roy to lead this lap as they come down to the start-finish line, which is way down here by turn number 1. It is not going to be Roy. It looks like Evan is going to lead that lap as he drops down to the bottom line.
Leads the lap, clears to the bottom lane, and now he will lead the freight train along the bottom side of the racetrack as you ride on board with Evan Bollier, looking back at the number 26 Pontiac Grand Prix of Brent Roy. The Channel Lock Chevrolet, Dale Glessner pulling right up to the even door of Evan Bollier. Now he makes the same move that Bollier does. He's able to clear and comes down to the bottom side of the racetrack, leaving Dylan Kopech now to lead the top side. And look at how much momentum changes when he does that, Kevin. Not only does Kopech lose the opportunity to take the lead, but he falls back to position number 3, and now Evan Bollier jumps up in front of him to try to take the lead back.
It demonstrates that these drivers are not willing to sit there and ride. Bollier is going to jump out, get in front of the 09, the Burnham Boilers 09 of Dylan Kopech. Dylan looks pretty content up there, Kyle, to stay in that top line.
So far he does. He's been running up there the majority of this race, trying to get a help from the 14 machine of Zane Farrell. It does look like Farrell has some damage on the right front corner of that nose, so that may be having a detriment to his drafting ability and could be why he's not able to close up on the back bumper of Dylan Kopech. Now Kopech loses that help from Zane Farrell as a hole opened up in between Brent Roy and Brendan Marhefka. Farrell takes it, drops down to the bottom, and now Brandon Yuhouse trying to close in on that 09 machine, but the 09 starting to slip back as the top line starts to evaporate.
We look at the cars as they come past our position here on the front straightaway, and the top 15 cars are tucked in kind of nose to tail. Then you go back to Anthony Alillo. The 31 was damaged in that first incident. My guess, Kyle, is this is one of those deals where he's just going to ride out the back and make sure that it's got no more resets, keeps that car clean while we get those laps ticked off. We're only working lap number 11 of 50.
Yeah, you can see the field is about divided in half right now. This first lead pack consists of about 14, 15 cars. And then, as you mentioned, Anthony Aiello back in position number 16. He is leading that second group of cars that are all single file, kind of strung out along the back portions of the field. Now, this is a healthy draft back here. There's let's say about 10 cars or so that are in this group, so they're not really losing touch too much with the race leaders. They still have a good enough draft to be able to keep a good pace, but if need be, they can really tighten this group up, get back in line, and try to make a push towards the field if they do stay green for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, watching the Channel Lock Chevrolet there of Dale Glessner on the inside, he's had a pretty steady run, just hanging up there in the top. Well, he's been to the top, he's been to the bottom right now, his second car in that bottom line. has a pretty good mount underneath him here tonight. Looks pretty comfortable. The car not moving around, and Dale looks like he's having a pretty good show. I was noticing, Kyle, in that back stack that Devin Marhepka, that 22 is all banged up. He didn't choose to use his reset. He's still going to hang on to that in case some trouble comes later, but it's going to cost him speed.
I believe you're right in that, Kevin, because now he is losing connection with the lead draft, and he's going to be all by himself. So I can totally understand the strategy call for leaving that fast repair for a later time in the race, but knowing that he now is not able to keep up with the lead draft may change his decision if we get a caution flag that allows him to close back up. The top side has regained some strength, and now Dylan Kopech with a nose out in front. He's trying to clear, made that move much, much slower than what other drivers had, but Bollier gives him the space. Now Dylan Kopech will take over the lead for the first time here tonight, leading the bottom line and leading the top side. The sponsor of tonight's race, that is Brandon Yuhouse in the Little Trees number 61.
It always amazes me as you watch these cars go around the track when you see that one shot of the car sucked down onto the track. The side skirts, the front bumpers, everything right down on the pavement. It helps the car settle into the racetrack when they get all that grip. And it's just exciting to watch these cars under speed go around here. And it feels like when you're sitting in the stands that they're just driving around. But when you watch the close-up shots from the side, from the bumpers, from even the cockpit, you see and appreciate how much these drivers are using the wheel. The car moves around in the air, and aerodynamics making such a big play here as we work the draft at these super speedways.
You're riding on board right now with pole sitter Michael Hopkins, who currently rides in position number 4. He is the second car on the outside line, and getting a great visual there of what it's like to race at 190 miles per hour in a multi-car pack here at Talladega Super Speedway. It really is a lot more intense than what it looks like, Kevin, and we've made mention a couple times tonight how some of these cars are kind of jockeying and moving around. It looks very simple. It looks like just highway driving, cruising around, taking your time and being patient, but one small mistake, it's so infamous here at these super speedway races. One small mistake turns your entire race completely around and changes things within the blink of an eye. You have to be precise, you have to be focused, you cannot allow your mental game to slip up just a little bit. And that's the biggest thing with these super speedway races. It is such a mental game. The strategy, the technique, and the skill involved in being successful in these races, totally different compared to any other type of racetrack in racing. So it is a very, very intense form of racing, despite how easy it may look from the drivers on the track.
You know, a lot of real-world drivers have been spending a lot of time in the sim. They're getting themselves acclimated to coming back to Daytona, which is going to happen next week. And even in this, one of the things that people underestimate is how much closing rate you have. And the car in front of you slows, steps on the brake to prevent from running the driver over, and then you have to get on the brakes. And so it's not only side to side, it's front to back too. And when the race gets farther and farther along, they get tighter and tighter, and that just makes me sit up in the chair a little bit more as you see how tight sometimes the situation gets with these drivers. They're literally door handles. We go 3 wide for the lead here. Jumping out is the number 61, going to try and lead this lap. Not going to be able to do it, but has a good run to the outside. Here comes Brandon Yuhouse with the charge.
Michael Hopkins makes a mistake. He gets stuck in the wall glue in the outside of turn number 1. He does a great job of keeping that race car up in the wall, and it does not come off of it and create a mess. We will stay green, but he is going to lose this lead draft. Fortunately for him, there is that second pack that we made mention, but that second pack, Kevin, over the last 5 laps or so, has lost about an additional 4 seconds to where we made first mention of them. So that lead pack, despite them being side by side throughout all of it, slowly but surely working their way away from that second pack where Michael Hopkins is going to have to join.
Yeah, I would think if that second pack behaves, gets nose to tail, and runs single file, they have enough cars to possibly make a difference. It's when somebody jumps out and doesn't stay in line that they tend to lose the draft. But we'll see whether or not they can become a factor and come back up here if there is no further cautions. I'm looking at certain drivers just kind of hanging off this lead pack. For example, Charles Lewandowski, that's 0-1. Sitting in that 9th position, just kind of pacing himself. He started 20th tonight, has done a great job at putting himself in a position to be with this lead pack. and just keeping that car clean as he's trying to make his way to the finish.
Kevin, you weren't with us on Friday night in the NEPS Super Truck Series race at the iRacing Super Speedway, but that 01 machine of Charles Lewandowski was one of the best drivers throughout that entire race. He finished in position number 3. He had an opportunity to win it late in the going, so it is no surprise to me to see him up in this lead pack and already, as you mentioned, up over 10 positions here within the first half of this race. So definitely keep your eyes set on that 01 machine to be a factor later on in this race. This lead pack doing a great job of being nice and smooth, very calm. They're doing a good job of racing each other, but they're not being over aggressive with it. They're experimenting, they're making passes, they're feeling out how the draft works, and they're really putting on a good show here early on in this event.
Yeah, saw the 56 of Evan just jump out and almost telegraphed a move. To your point, it's kind of calm racing right now. The drivers are slowly moving out, taking their position. They're not darting and jamming all over the place. Unfortunately for Evan, he's going backwards. He had no dancing partners for that, and he went out there on his own, and everybody's kind of drifting back. He's going to have to see if he can find a hole. His lead pack is coming up on a slower car. Hopefully they can get by cleanly. It looks like they're going to get him on the backstretch.
And that is that 22 machine of Devin Marhefka that we mentioned. He's going to drop down to the apron and let the lead pack pass with no problems whatsoever. Those guys in the middle of the pack still kind of jostling around. Evan Bullier trying to find a lane to work with to get back in line. He's able to do so. Kyle Casagrande was right around that, and the 7 machine, things got a little bit tight between those drivers, but they were able to work it out, and now Evan Bullier trying to see if somebody will jump out there with him in front so he can get a draft off of. He wants to get around Charles Lewandowski. He would rather be up in front of this pack.
Yeah, Bullier goes out to the outside, and he is going to get a help in the form of the 52 of Corey Casagrande. Corey went up to that third line. So there's a little bit of a nervous tick there in that 46 right in front of him. Yeah, look at these guys. They have just decided to amp it up a little bit as they are juking and jiving over there as they come off of turn number 2. The 46 looked really loose, jumped to the outside, and he's going to make a big charge here. Here comes Ryan Bibby. He's going to take the lead going down the back straightaway. Can he hold it over to turn number 1?
He's able to drop down to the middle lane, leaving Casagrande and Bullier all alone on that top side, and is now getting the direct drafting help from Brandon Yuhouse. Yuhouse getting a good draft from Brandon Marhefka in the 13 machine. 3 distinct lines of racing running once again, and Kevin, I gotta be honest, I'm impressed with how much charge that top side has been able to work with tonight, despite the small amount of drivers that they're getting on that very high line. Look at it right now, there's only 2 cars up there, and they're battling 3 wide for the race lead. That top side's got some speed, and if these drivers can really utilize that and get some numbers up there, that top side could be an option later on in the race.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The top has looked fast and racy here tonight as we see a bunch of drivers now jump up here to the top. They seem to hear what you're saying. I was looking at that 44 of Scott McDonald. I've been mentioned his name. He's just kind of tagged right there in that position. Scott came from the 16th position and on the starting grid tonight, just having a quiet night. Over there in turns 1 and 2, so low that the left front corner, the apron, brushed the track and the sparks are coming off, but the car did not loosen up. He was able to keep it down, but that is painting the yellow line with literal sense.
So Ryan Libby takes control of this race for the first time tonight, and it's worth mentioning that after the penalty at Myrtle Beach Speedway, Ryan Libby out in front of this race. Where is points leader John Peters? Well, John Peters just so happens to be running in that second pack right now. So if things were to stay the way that they are, Ryan Libby would be sitting in great position to take over the championship lead. Of course, we still have half of this race to go, and we've got Brandon Marhefka turn. He spins, Evan Bullier spins, and we are going to pile up this lead pack in turn number 3. The 10 machine of Dale Glessner is involved. The 7 of Kyle Casagrande, Brandon Yuhouse, Evan Bullier, all piling them up here at the bottom of turns 3 and 4. Caution flag number 2 will fly, and that will eliminate the 2-pack situation, and we will go back to one big one, and it basically just ruins my point I was trying to make about the championship battle.
do all the storytelling you want here in the sim racing world and the racing world and play track racing as a whole. But there you see it. The 13 tries to come down, gets in a little bit of contact there with the 09, Dylan Kopak. Everybody tries to check up. Nowhere to check up to. Unfortunately, the wall's in the way in that shot, so we're gonna change it up just a little bit and back it up one more time. Give you another slow motion instant replay, and you can see great push by the 56 of Belvedere, moving his way up, trying to get the 13 of Marhefka up there, and unfortunately just clips the 09. And there you can see Brent gets a little, or the 10 car rather gets a piece of it. Zaney gets a big piece of it. 13 big time damage. There you see Charles Lewandowski barely skating by in a type. Kyle Casagrande down low below the apron. He did a great job getting through here. We'll take another look at it. We'll take a look from the chopper, and there you can see the 13 already around. The 09, the 10, the 56, the 61. Looks like he almost saves it. Not much damage on the 61. It looks like he's going to do okay here. There you can see Kyle Casagrande down low. There you see the 81 DJ Gerard gets by scot-free, but a lot of damaged race cars. And like you said, Kyle, that's going to bring these two packs together. And you know, it's funny because I was actually texting back and forth with the champ, John Peters, earlier this week, and he actually started laughing. He says, you know, I got a lot of family that watches this, and even my mother calls me Johnny Two Belts now. So John Peters put himself in a good position to really close the gap on the points lead and kind of run away with it. Like you said, Ryan Libby had the points lead, but after the penalty last race, really closes it back up, and we got a lot of action on pit road here, boys.
Yeah, lots of cars coming down onto pit road. This could be a great opportunity for them to fill up these race machines and eliminate the need for a green flag pit stop, as we are just shy of the halfway point. Not really sure if anybody decided to stay out on the racetrack under this car. Well, we have a couple cars. We have the 81 machine of DJ Gerard and the 78 of Michael Hopkins. Other than that, it looks like the rest of the field decided to come down, whether it was to get damage repair, take tires, get some fuel. The only two deciding to stay out on the racetrack are, once again, DJ Gerard and Michael Hopkins.
Yeah, for Michael Hopkins, that was a blessing. Remember, he got up into that wall glue. The car got stuck on the wall over there in turn 1 and 2. He was dropped off that lead group, but it was a blessing in disguise as he wasn't in that mix. I saw another car take a really big hit over there, the 14 of Zane Farrell. He went in and used his reset. That car was really smashed in. Did you see the left front tire come off the 56 in that crash?
Gotta love the new damage model that are on these ARCA cars that create some spectacular-looking crashes. Yeah. And the super speedways, of course, always have that risk, and we've just seen that here tonight. It appears that the 10 machine of Dale Glussner, this is an unfortunate thing to learn about. Looks like he is going to retire after that incident. Very unfortunate for Dale. He was looking very good in this event, spending a lot of time up at the front of the field, was looking good on the top side, but this incident apparently going to be too much for him to continue on. Not sure if he's just choosing to leave, if maybe he made a mistake on the fast repair and didn't use it and had to take the time for the damage. But either way, one of our top contenders will be out of this event, and unfortunately for him, he'll be scored with a 24th place finish.
That's a bummer after having such a good run. And you know what happens with this crash is it's going to reset the field. We're going to see drivers that were riding out in the back now, right up in there in the mix or right in the middle of things. Looking at Joey Coulter and then number 2, the Old Spice Chevrolet, sitting, where is he right now? About the 9th position. Haven't talked about him all night long, but there he sits right in the mix of things. We're past the halfway mark, and I think, Kyle, this is where drivers start to think, well, I do actually need to assert myself. I can't ride out here in the back. With NEPS, they generally have clean races, and you can't count on a caution to bring it back if you're laying back. So I think it's full court press now for these drivers.
I tend to agree with you, Kevin. We have less laps remaining than we have completed. So, as you mentioned, you can't really rely on a caution at this point to be your strategy. You have to be aggressive now. You have to start racing. You have to start mixing it up. And as you mentioned, the 2 machine of Joey Coulter, one of those drivers that was towards the back of the field. John Peters is now inside the top 10. Wyatt Alexander, Matt Kenfield, Scott McDonald, some of these drivers that we haven't made too much mention of so far in this race, now inside the top 10, taking advantage of the damage repair and the pit strategy in the pits, putting themselves in the mix and looking to contend here in the second half of this checkered flag.
Yeah, the field's rolled down the backstretch as we watch the 22 go by us here under full song, trying to catch up to that group before they go back to green. The 22 used his fast reset. That car looks set up now, and now that Hooters Pro Cup Chevrolet, Devin Marhefka is going to join into the back of the field. He's going to catch him over there in turn 3, so I think he's going to be okay for the restart here, but he'll be tail end of this field as we go back to green.
So we'll give you a quick rundown of the field since things have just changed up quite dramatically. As mentioned, DJ Girard and Michael Hopkins, they were the only two that stayed out. They will be on the front row. Ryan Libby and Brent Roy will line up 3rd and 4th. Wyatt Alexander and John Peters in at 5th and 6th. Dylan Kopak is 7th. Matt Kenfield 8th. Joey Coulter 9th. And Scott McDonald going to round out your top 10 as we prepare to take the restart with 24 laps to go. The pace car will hit pit road. DJ Girard, Michael Hopkins will lead the field down to the green flag, slowly but surely waiting for that to fly before we get back under racing pace. They'll come to the exit of the tri-oval, and there it is. The green flag is back out, and we are back racing here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Off of these restarts, we've seen the bottom line be fairly predominant. Some drivers taking the holes and dropping down to the bottom. Haven't seen anybody do that yet. Let's see how strong that top side stays as they work through the gears.
Pretty even as they go through the banking here to the back straightaway for this restart. Looks like Hopkins trying to get some help on the outside. Is he going to drive down the slope of the banking to the back straightaway? He's got a good run. He's going to drive up to the outside of DJ Girard. They're now door to door, literally, although they're spread across the track. One's on the yellow line, the other one's against the fence. They'll come together here over in turn number 3 as the top line did not get as good a run that time.
That they did not. They are side by side with the 96 machine, rather, of Wyatt Alexander for 3rd. Now Ryan Libby jumps up there. He is going to look to take the race lead away from DJ Girard and try to benefit from the draft off of Michael Hopkins. Looks like he's got the advantage coming out of the tri-oval, and he will lead lap number 27. He's not quite clear of that bottom line just yet, and as soon as I say that, he does. He will go to the race lead, solidify that position in front of the field by coming down to the bottom of the track, and that leaves Michael Hopkins to lead the top side with Brent Roy and John Peters in tow.
Yeah, up in that top 10, they're running side by side, but a couple of these drivers, well, they don't think it's time to go yet. I'm looking back there at Kyle Casagrande. He's not made any noise here at that number 7. Sitting right behind him is Austin Belke in the number 24 Excedrin car. And yeah, they're just still kind of pacing themselves. So some of these drivers have made the decision it's not go time yet. The good news for them, Kyle, is in the draft, you can actually draft up late in the race and get yourself a good finish, if not win.
Indeed you can, and you had said something earlier about the drafting distance with this race. These ARCA cars have a huge suck-up. It's very easy to get runs and make charges through the field, so absolutely going to be a factor in the finish of this race, having the opportunity to work your way through the field, make moves, move around the racetrack, and we've seen that tonight. These guys using every lane on this racetrack. They're making passes on every lane. This should be a very good second half, and we should see a very racy finish.
Yeah, one thing we've not talked about is finding a dancing partner. In this draft, you want someone who's going to tuck in, and since we've mixed the field up, some of these drivers are running with drivers they have not seen in their rearview mirrors, but I would suspect that if drivers are working together, they're going to find each other at this stage of the race and see what they can do to drive themselves up into that top 5.
So now Brent Roy going to lead his first lap. Well, no, he was in the lead earlier under that first caution period, but he will take over the race lead once again from Ryan Libby, leading that top side, trying to go back-to-back in Super Speedway victories. As mentioned earlier, he was the winner on Friday night in the NEPS Super Truck Series race at the iRacing Super Speedway, picked up his very first career New England, Pennsylvania iRacing League win, and now he's trying to double it up, make it 2 for 2, looking good on the top side. The top side's got some great drafting help. Evan Bollier really getting aggressive here. He liked what he saw out of that very top side earlier on in this race. He's trying to get some people to go with him. Michael Hopkins, he's trying to think about it, can't really make up his mind, and now Bollier will get to the outside.
Yeah, Bollier's going to jump up there to that 3rd lane, hoping somebody else will come with him. Right now, he's got nobody. Will Matt Kenfield jump in? No. He's just going to close that gap. And, well, we haven't talked about John Peters, but there he is, sitting right there. And I have to say, I'm impressed so far with DJ Girard. Started on the pole for this restart or front position and is just quietly hanging there in that top 5. That's what you need to do, is get yourself that track position and then hang on to it as best you can.
John Peters made a move to the top side. Brent Roy wanted none of that. He slides up with him and defends against the current points leader. Michael Hopkins starting to lose some help in the middle of the field. Charles Lewandowski thought about running with him. He's still trying to think about it, trying to see if he wants the middle, if he wants to go up on the top side with Evan Bullier. Very strange here in the iRacing world to see that middle line open up. It's usually either the middle or the bottom. It's not too often you see that top side get a lot of numbers and leave the middle hanging out to dry, but it's starting to happen right now. Brent Roy way up against the safer barrier. Ryan Libby down on the bottom. Michael Hopkins in the middle on his lonesome, trying to find some help, but the help behind him goes to the top side with Evan Bullier, John Peters, and Brent Roy.
I have to wonder if Lewandowski is going to drive down into that hole through the center, as he's up in the top pushing, but if he can come in, what a draft he'd get through the middle to push that number 78, but I don't know. Looks like he's going to work with Bullier and stay to that top side.
Rim riding it around the outside lane seems to be the way to go for the moment. Brent Roy continues to lead this race very narrowly over Ryan Libby. They're now 3 wide for position number 2. Brent Roy's got any lane he wants to take. He is completely clear of that battle for second place. He's going to stay to the top side, continue to work with John Peters and Evan Bullier. Now, Peters is just about clear of the 3 wide battle, and that'll go back to a battle for position number 3. The top side gaining numbers that are working very well with each other, and they're starting to propel ahead of the field.
Yeah, pretty impressed with the job Michael Hopkins has done in that middle lane. Just been predictable, stayed right where he needs to be, but you're right, that top side is the way to go, and now they're going to abandon that top side, come back down. They're going to leave the 0-1 of Charles Lewandowski to hang out a little bit, but Charles, maybe he can get himself down. Nope, he didn't fill that hole, so what was the top has now become the bottom.
So just like that, the top side dies away. They all come down to the bottom side of the racetrack and will lead this field by painting the yellow line down at the bottom of the track. 17 laps to go. Brent Roy leading John Peters and Evan Bullier. The first car on the outside line is Charles Lewandowski. He's got drafting help from Zane Farrell and Scott McDonald. They are up to the third place car of Evan Bullier, trying to find some more momentum, and they've got a good drafting help. Behind McDonald, you got Brandon Yuhouse, and then I believe that's Corey and Kyle Casagrande filling in as well. DJ Girard jumps up there, so now they're really starting to make another push on that middle line.
Yeah, we're starting to see those gaps close up a little bit. The top line is coming down on that bottom line, sucking off the door, driving off, trying to get the best runs they can. And as the laps tick off, you tend to see the action pick up. These drivers a lot more aggressive with their moves. Unlike what we talked about before, where they were telegraphing what they were doing, now these drivers are right up to the back bumper of the car in front of them, trying to push and shove for any advantage they can get.
Charles Lewandowski leading his first lap of the night, edging out Brent Roy by 23 thousandths of a second that time by. He is far from clear of Brent Roy, but he's getting a great drafting help down the back straightaway from Zane Farrell. Farrell getting caught up in one of the previous incidents. He has used his fast repair, but that is not deterring him one bit. He wants to race tonight, and he is showing that he can be competitive. You now right on board with the fourth place man on the outside line, trying to push the 0-1 of Lewandowski into the race lead. Brent Roy and John Peters down below. Scott McDonald is about 2 car lengths off the back bumper of Zane Farrell, but Farrell's push to Lewandowski, doing Lewandowski well. He leads another lap, but still just about even with that bottom line as they come into turn number 1.
Every race is like a cake. You never know how it's going to come out of the oven. I look at somebody like Jason Ricker, who's running back there at 17th. He's watching what's happening up in front of him. He sees how tight it is. His danger meter is blinking on high. Bing, 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 bing. Just wondering when something's going to happen. But every once in a while, you get a perfect cake where they run all the way through to the finish, and you just never know what you're going to get.
And that's the fun of super speedway racing. It's very unpredictable. Anything can happen at any moment in time, and it can create new winners, fun winners, people that you weren't expecting to go to victory lane. can do so. And now we'll get ready to complete lap number 36. Charles Lewandowski, I thought he was thinking about coming down to the bottom there. Wasn't quite clear of Brent Roy. Roy will pull even as they come back into turn number 1. Also not wanting to leave the drafting help with Zane Farrell just yet. Scott McDonald, we mentioned it about a lap ago. He's not really putting too much pressure on the back bumper of Zane Farrell. He's kind of just up there riding right now. But despite that, those two cars, the 14 and the 01, they've got a very good draft going, and they're able to stick it right up there on that top side and continue to challenge for this race lead.
Yeah, that phrase, a very good draft, is an important phrase, because when you line up with the car in front of you and you are going to bump draft them, you want to make sure you hit them square. You're not in one of those wobbles left to right. You don't want to turn somebody at this point, but you do want to run close. Two cars running nose to tail will be faster. And I'll tell you, it's not a surprise to see John Peters up there, and that's a good move for John, because if he can stay up there, if there is trouble, it most likely will be off his back bumper, where we said before, biggest advantage, Kyle, is to see it out your rear view, and the best way to do that is to be up front.
It's always, oh, we've got a couple cars spitting in the back, and we're going to wreck him up again. Corey Casagrande got turned. He slams into the outside wall. Huge damage on the 52 machine. There are a few other cars involved. You see DJ Girard there just out of frame, spinning at the bottom of the entry to turn number 3. The incident happened on the back straightaway. I think they were getting close to going 4 wide, and eventually it just broke out. Trouble. And we have another caution and another Fatheads eyewear instant replay.
Uber Deb is going to be very disappointed in Corey Casagrande here in the Mystique number 52, and you can see he's in the center 3 wide, tries to get up high. Unfortunately, Old Spice number 2 car was there, as was Wyatt Alexander there in the number 96. Big contact between the 96 and the 52. There you see Dylan Kopech, and the 09 gets a part of it. Rickner in the 9, he gets a part of it as well in the Aubuchon machine, and there you can see the left front tire not where it's supposed to be. Oh, looks like it fixed itself, and then some sheet metal fell off, and there you can see Corey's brother Kyle there in the Skoll number 7 machine. He gets a little bit of the piece of the action as well. We'll back this up, take another view from a little bit further away here, and we can show you this is just pack racing at its finest. Just nowhere really for Corey to go. He looked like he had himself a hole there behind the Little Trees number 61. He was going to try and move up in and kind of draft his way up towards the front, but unfortunately there was another driver up there in between him and the outside wall. So you'll see it here as they come out of turn number 2. Tries to just kind of move up just a bit, and just gets right on the left front quarter there, the number 2 Old Spice machine, the number 2 of Joey Coulter, and it doesn't look like he was too crazy bad damage there for the number 2, but there you can see the Hopkins around actually does a really good job of saving it until he gets plowed by DJ Girard there in the 81 machine, and unfortunately just really nowhere for the 81 to go at that point as well. But again, a lot of damaged race cars here, and it's just a really just a factor of this plate track racing here at Talladega. We're getting close to the end. We're going to be restarting with less than 10 laps to go here. These drivers really want to win. They want to win badly, and they want to get up to the front as quickly as they can. So starting to run out of time here, Kyle.
That we are. As you mentioned, we'll have less than 10 laps to go once we go back to green flag racing. We are currently working lap number 40. So you mentioned that these drivers trying to fight as hard as they can to get a win. We're getting down towards the end of the season. We're only going to have 3 races left once we get out of this event. Our next race will not come for another 10 days, where we will go big track racing once again, but we're going to do it at the Auto Club Speedway, a much different facility than what this Talladega Super Speedway is. For those drivers that haven't won any races tonight, in this series, it's a great opportunity for them to get a win. And looking through the numbers as of right now, 36 different drivers have taken the green flag in this series this season. Only 5 of them have gone to victory lane, and the big reason why is because John Peters and Ryan Libby have been stinking up the show. They are the only 2 drivers with more than 1 win. John Peters, the win at Myrtle Beach on Thursday night, broke the tie between him and Ryan Libby. He has 6 wins. Libby has 5. So out of the, what is that? Quick math tells me that is 14 races. Those 2 drivers have won 11 of them. There's no surprise why those guys are the clear favorites for the championship here at this late stage in the season.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers, to your point, Kyle, love this kind of race because if they can get themselves up there, this is the chance to sneak away a win. When you have drivers that dominant in a series, this is the place where everybody is on even playing field. And one thing I noticed there is the number 76, Matt Kenfield, he slid through that wreck, locked up the brakes all the way through. These drivers only get 2 sets of tires. Not sure if he was able to change out what he had there, but some drivers wore those tires out, but better than crashed, I suppose. As the field gets lined back up, the lights will go off, and we'll re-rack them here. We're going to have a sprint, if you could call it that, at Talladega of less than 10 laps to go to the finish. Save nothing now. Now you're just going to run wide open all the way to the checkered flag.
Without a doubt. There's no more holding back, no more waiting, no more time to try to figure things out. This is go time now. 9 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing this next time by. And how about this move, Kevin? Brent Roy choosing the top side for this restart. We've seen how well he has worked with John Peters throughout the last 20 laps or so. He wants to keep that connection going, and he decides to restart up top.
Yeah, if I want to restart with less than 10 to go and I'm looking at John Peters in my rearview mirror, I think that's a pretty safe choice. I think I would go that route too, but who knows? You'll have to see whether or not Lewandowski, who's a powerhouse on his own, is going to have a good restart and spoil your party.
I don't think Charles Lewandowski is going to be too upset with that decision because lining up right behind him is the 14 machine of Zane Farrell, and we've seen how well those two drivers have worked together tonight. So the drafting teams, they stick together. They just kind of switch lanes is all that they did. The Roy and Peters combo goes to the top, and the Lewandowski and Farrell combo will go down to the bottom of the racetrack for this restart. So let's set it up for you very quickly. Brent Roy, your race leader. Charles Lewandowski will be second. Zane Farrell is third. John Peters fourth. And Scott McDonald completes the top 5. Brandon Yuhouse is in sixth. Evan Bollier in seventh. Joey Coulter eighth. Kyle Casagrande ninth. And Brandon Marhefka completes the top 10. How about this, Kevin? He decided to use that fast repair. These cautions have helped him out. He's back on the lead lap. And just outside of the top 10, Devin Marhefka is 11th. Anthony Aiello 12th. Kenny Kibbe 13th. Ryan Libby 14th. And Matt Kenfield, as you mentioned, completing your top 15 as we get to prepare for this restart.
Yeah, I'm looking at that 56 of Evan Bollier. He's back there in 7th. That's about as far back as we've seen him on some of these restarts. I expect him to get really aggressive and see if he can work his way up to that top 5.
And this is an opportunity for Evan to implant himself back into the championship hunt. He is 40 points out of second place behind Ryan Libby. He's going to need a little bit of fortune. He needs to finish well tonight. He needs some things to happen to Peters and Libby and gap them by a handful of positions in order to put himself back into the championship hunt. But you know, with as aggressive as we've seen that 56 car be tonight, you know he is at least going to give it a shot and will not go down without a fight. Green flag back in the air, and this is probably the first time all night we've seen that outside line prevail on a restart. It helps when the control car is up there. Brent Roy, John Peters roaring into turn number 1. Roy will leave Peters and drop down to the bottom of the racetrack, leaving Peters to work with Brandon Yuhouse on top.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about that. We've seen that top line get a good run off the restart, and he was going to get turned. He's going to go sideways into the wall. Everybody takes evasive action. Wow, was not expecting that. That's one of those points where they just didn't match up, and what an unfortunate break as we go under yellow one more time.
And he just about had that car saved. He was trying to keep it going in the right direction, but with all of the cars in the lead pack trying to get around him, he wasn't able to do it. And Brandon Marhefka makes some contact, spins that 26 down to the apron, and I saw the 7 of Kyle Casagrande also got involved in that one, Paul.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at it right now. The Fatheads Eyewear instant replay, and you can see just not quite clear here for the 26 and the 01, not quite square either with the bump, and you can see just kind of shoots the 26. Brent Roy into the outside wall, and like you said, almost had it saved. Unfortunately, overcorrected it just a little bit here. Gets into the 13 machine as well as the Kyle Casagrande machine of the number 7, and you can see the 15 of Kenny Kibbe doing a great job of slowing up and everybody else avoiding the wreck, but just a tough break for Brent Roy. We saw him win Friday night. He looked strong all night long, up towards the front. Led a couple of laps here tonight, but doesn't look like he's going to have the finish he was looking for earlier on tonight here, Kyle.
Well, if he is, he's going to have to really earn it here in the late stages of this race. That'll now appear to put Charles Lewandowski in the lead for the moment. I would think that an EOL penalty could be coming his way for being involved in the cause of this caution. So if that happens, that would put Zane Farrell to the front of the field. We'll wait to see what race control decides to do. Obviously not an intentional thing by Charles Lewandowski. It was just a bad bump draft gone wrong. But usually all parties involved go tail for bringing the caution flag out. And that'll set things up for an even more dramatic finish, as we're going to have probably right around 5, 6, maybe even 4 laps to go for the finish.
5 or 6 laps to go for these guys here in the NEPS series. Some grand, the Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series, but not the end of the night here for us at Vidane TV. If you're tuning in just now looking for Sim 500, coming up right after this, we're going to be running the Trans Service dual 30-lap races to set the field for next week's Daytona 500K, the 4th annual in its name. And there you can see Charles Lewandowski getting penalized, getting sent to the back for causing that wreck, getting into the back of back bumper there of the 26 of Brent Roy. So that's big news. The 01, very, very strong car early on and all throughout this race, getting sent to the back with about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, that's a tough call for officials to make, Kyle. And to your point, it's a judgment call. Still, at this racetrack, you might have an opportunity to get a win. We've seen people win from double-digit numbers, but that's got to sting a little bit for Lewandowski. When you are trying to run as hard as you can at the end of the race, Kyle, your gloves are off. You're going to hold no punches. And if you get to the back bumper of somebody, you're hoping you're lining up square. And the fortunate thing for us was only one car got turned. Roy went sideways. He did go to the fence, but he didn't collect anybody else. And we should have a pretty exciting run to the finish.
And having to watch that 0-1 come back up through the rear of the field here in these final laps, that is going to be an absolute treat to watch. We mentioned how strong he has been tonight. He was very good in the Super Speedway race on Friday night, so don't count Charles Lewandowski out of this one just yet. He's got a lot of work to do in a very short period of time, but if anybody can make a charge through the field, I have confidence that it very well can be Charles Lewandowski. So now you're getting a shot at the new race leader for the first time tonight. Zane Farrell is leading this field, and will do so once we go back to green. Hopefully the next time around at this Talladega Superspeedway, John Peters going to be in position number 2. And what a change of events for John Peters. He was hanging out in the back of the second pack in the first half of this race. That caution flag came out just at halfway, and he decided to turn the wick up and start to compete, and now he is right here battling for another win. Could be looking for win number 7 on the season. He's trying to go back-to-back in championships in this series. He's got a 5-point lead over Ryan Libby heading into tonight's race. Ryan Libby currently sitting in position at number 11. We have seen Ryan Libby up at the front of the field leading laps too, so you know that he's going to be making a charge to come back up through and try to get as strong a finish as he can as well.
Yeah, one interesting footnote to put on the Lewandowski story is that he's going to tuck right in on the back bumper, thereabouts, of Roy. And the two of them are going to have to run their way through the field. So no harm, no foul there, I guess. The two of them have no choice but to work together as Lewandowski is out in the back of the pack. But Libby, I think he's got his work to go there. I'm not sure where that's going to end up for him.
So it looks like Ryan Libby's actually going to line up in position number 10. He is the 5th car on the outside line, going to line up behind Anthony Aiello. He will have Dylan Kopech pushing from the rear as well. So this is where things get very exciting, Kevin. 5 laps to go when we go green flag racing. I'm going to put you on the spot. Talladega, we've seen a very entertaining race thus far. Who do you think is the favorite at the moment to go to victory lane?
I'm just going to go with a dark horse, a guy who's been kind of under the radar, Joey Coulter. That number 2 is going to pull the win tonight.
So Kevin goes with Joey Coulter. I'm going to go with the man that could potentially be the most aggressive one that we've seen all night long. He's been very, very prominent on trying to get the top side to work. He is trying to get himself back into this championship mix, and I think he's going to play a factor into this one before the checkered flag comes out. Give me the 56 of Evan Bollier. Let's continue the fun, Paul. Who do you like for this final 5-lap restart?
Man, I'm going to go with that number 14. He's on the outside there. Zane Farrell, his girlfriend Lacey was trying to watch The Bachelor tonight. She didn't realize that Zane was going to be running up front here with 5 laps to go.
Oh, boy. That could be a bad one for Zane. You don't ever get in the way of a woman in her Bachelor.
Yeah, too much controversy in that series this year. And for the restart. Sorry, I happened to see that on Good Morning America last week.
So here we go. Pace car goes to pit road. 5 laps remain for this green flag restart. Zane Farrell choosing the top side, hoping to work with Brendan Yuhouse. John Peters down on the bottom with Scott McDonald on his back bumper. Green flag flies. We are back to racing here at Talladega. The gas pedals going through the floorboards, everybody trying to get through the gears and get up to speed. Look at Evan Bollier trying to sneak underneath of Scott McDonald. McDonald slams the door shut before he can get his way in there, and they'll have to stick in line down on the bottom, working through 1 and 2.
Looks like the bottom line has some momentum on the outside, a little bit broken up as the 2 has dropped off as they are a little sideways coming off that corner, but they gathered it up. Protect that yellow line and race down that back straightaway. I'm looking at Ken Kibbe right there in the mix, the orange car, number 15, about 5th in the back line. Just that's the position where you start to look, well, where's my opportunity? Can I go low? Can I go in the middle? Should I stay down here? What am I going to do as these drivers jockeying for position? They need to get up front right now.
John Peters trying to take the race lead for the first time tonight. He hasn't had to lead, but now he's in the mix at the right time. 4 laps to go as they come across the stripe. Will he get the lead on this lap? He will, barely, by about a fender. He will lead over Zane Farrell. They're now trying to go 3 wide. Jason Rickers into the outside wall, stuck in the wall glue. Joey Coulter gets turned. Cars are smashing and piling up into turn number 1. We are going to go caution again, and Ryan Libby is involved. Second place in points. Ryan Libby is caught up in this mess, while John Peters, the championship leader, is leading this race.
You could just see that building as the cars got sideways going over there into the corner, and the 2 car looked like he took a significant hit, turned sideways, and then everybody just had no place to go. The 2 was stuck sideways, and everybody taking evasive action. And we'll bring it over to Paul to give you the play-by-play here of what actually caused that one.
Big time championship implications here. Ryan Libby, the 46 car. Big time damage there. You see the 9 car up on the outside, gets up into that wall glue, gets it stuck and tries to correct it and goes off the nose of the 09. Looks like the 2 car. That was actually the 96 of Wyatt Alexander. There you can see the big time nose damage in the 46 of Ryan Libby. He gets up and DJ Gerard demolishes that 81 machine. Tough break for those guys. You see the sheet metal defenders flying off of those cars, and crazy the wrecks that are happening here. You can see the 09 back in the back of the pack there. Tough to really race with a blown motor. You can see a lot of black smoke coming out of some of these cars. A lot of heavy hits back here. Going to set up a green-white checkered attempt here for these NEPS guys here in the Yuhouse Racing Designs 50 here at Talladega. But like you said, Kyle, John Peters still up front leading this race with 3 laps to go. Going to get a green-white checkered attempt here. Going to be a good opportunity to really pad his championship lead.
Now, I don't believe that Ryan Libby has been involved in any other incident up to this point, so I would think that he does still have a fast repair to use, but the problem is that he's going to take this green and white checkered restart in the back of the field, so he is going to have a lot of cars to pass in a very short period of time in order to try to salvage the damage that has been done here. Now, this could potentially open up the door for Evan Bollier to close in on him. Bollier is in position number 5, but as mentioned, the points leader is in the lead of this race, so if Bollier wants to have an opportunity at getting back into the championship mix, he needs to get that 51 car to the back of this lead pack. It will help him to close in on second place Ryan Libby, but if he wants a championship shot, he has to come and get that 51 out from the front of this lead pack. And as I can see these cars on pit road, can confirm that Ryan Libby does now use his fast repair, so he will have a fresh number 46 car underneath of him, but can give you the confirmation as well. We will be going to a green white checkered finish, and we only have 1 of them to make.
Yeah, 1 shot at glory here is a green-white checker finish in play here for Talladega. I look back at Joey Coulter. The 61 in front of him, Yuhouse, going into turn number 1, got a little bit sideways. Coulter went up to take evasive action, and when he turned the car down, the car got a little sideways, and that was the moment that the Libby car got into the back of him. And I think if this is one of those deals, Kyle, where when the race is over, you go back and replay and wish you could have that moment over again. But yep, your bet is made right now. Libby sitting out back, looking at his point contender out front, hoping that these wild card races weren't going to be the Achilles heel for him. And here he is at Talladega struggling to get himself a top finish.
And it's going to be no holds barred at this point. It's just going to be white knuckle, badass racing all the way through the field here on this green and white checkered finish for those guys that are in the back of this field. Looks like we lost DJ Girard in that incident. He is done for the night. Joey Coulter is also still sitting on pit road, so I would assume that he has also used up his fast repair as well, and having to take time repairs on his Old Spice Chevrolet. So losing a couple contenders out of this one. Still have 21 cars on the lead lap, but with just 2 laps to go, you're going to have to do a lot with a very short amount of time left. It's going to be difficult for those guys to try to contend. And, oh boy, this is going to be great on the finish.
You know, what's bad news for some is good news for others. Lewandowski, after that penalty, made his way up to 13th. He had a good run through that pack, gained a bunch of positions. He actually went by Roy, who's back there in 15th for this restart. Lewandowski happy to see the caution and possibly get another opportunity to come even further forward.
Yeah, and Charles Lewandowski was actually just down on pit road with Ryan Libby and some others during this caution flag. So getting a final confirmation as to where he will line up, and it is going to be in position number 12. So about the back half of the field all came down here under this yellow flag. So for Ryan Libby and Charles Lewandowski, they're actually not going to be lining up as far back as what I figured. They're going to be just outside of the top 10. So yes, now you really have to put the pressure on and make some gains, because these guys, they're not starting as far back as what I figured. They could still salvage a top 5 finish or even better.
Yeah, and this eliminates a couple of those drivers that were running up there in that top 10 and brings a couple others forward. The 22, Devin Maravka is right up in there. The Anthony Yellow, number 31, is now up in the mix, running in the 6th position. They're in contact with the leaders, and that could parlay to a win for some of these drivers as they come down the backstretch. This is where the butterflies go. You know you got one shot at it. You're just going to be wide open, look out the front windshield, and protect every advantage you get all the way till you get to the checkered flag. Checkers or records, Kyle.
And that's something that we very well may see. So this is how the green-white checkered is going to work. We will go one attempt to get 2 laps in to finish this race off. If there is a crash and the caution flag flies on the first lap of the green and white checkered, the race will be over. If they make it around to the white flag, the caution flag will not be able to fly, and they will be full bore to the finish. Now, this series works on admin thrown cautions. iRacing does not throw them on their own. So whatever race control sees out of an incident, if they decide to throw the caution on that first lap, they will. If they want to try to keep it going and get that green flag finish, they'll keep it in its holster and try to let them race it out. So here we go for the final time. This will be it. John Peters on the bottom, the points leader by 5 points over Ryan Libby, trying to secure his 7th win of the season and help himself go back-to-back in this championship series. Zane Farrell, he has no championship opportunity. He has no wins. He just wants to go to victory lane. He's on the top side. He's got Brandon Yuhouse behind him. Here we go, Kevin. Green flag about to fly.
You know, all these drivers are hungry for a win. They want to beat that number 51, and the green is out, and we're going to find out if somebody can do it. Here comes Zane Farrell to the outside. He's got a good run. He's just a skosh ahead of him on that outside lane as they go into the banking. He's got a good push from behind, but the 51 is really good and tight down there on that yellow line as they come off the banking to the back straightaway. Farrell down on the door, drafting and trying to get some help, do whatever he can to get the lead going down the backstretch.
It's an even fight coming down the back straightaway. Whoa, John Peters wiggles out of line. Scott McDonald aggressive on that back bumper, nearly turned the 51 car, but everybody hangs on to it. We race into turn number 3. Peters with the advantage coming through turns 3 and 4. The top side starting to slip back just a little bit, but they could be mounting a charge here. Brandon Yuhouse not on the back bumper like Scott McDonald is to John Peters. They will enter the tri-oval and see the white flag. 1 lap to go.
Here comes the 15 squirting up through the middle. They're going to crash over there as they go across the line. No yellow yet. And I see Beaulieu gets turned sideways. Big crash out behind. The top 2 are really the only 2 drivers that drove away.
A ginormous crash wipes out the field. It is a 2-car race for the finish. It is down to Zane Farrell and John Peters. Corey Casagrande is back there. He might be able to sniff a draft and try to catch these guys, especially as they're weaving and bobbing down the back straightaway. Zane Farrell trying to break the draft of John Peters. Peters with no help, trying to get to the top side to side draft Zane Farrell and pull him back for the win. Side by side off of turn number 4. It doesn't look like Casagrande is going to get there. Can Peters outlast Zane Farrell? Farrell's going to have to pull up and try to make a side draft of his own. He won't be able to do it. Peters comes down and clears him, and it will be John Peters. Back-to-back victories. He wins at Talladega.
Incredible finish for John Peters. I'm glad the officials let them run it out, and it looked like a snake dance down the back straightaway. It had to be that draft over there in turn 3, and then the side draft that ended up with the win. And we're going to cut this short, head over to the Sim 500, but we'll get a chance to jump right in John Peters' celebration. Kyle's caught up with him as he's running down the straightaway, and we'll see if we can get a word with our winner.
We'll get him fresh and hot as the emotions are still running wild for John Peters. John, what a race for you. You hung out in the back of the field for the first half of it, turned it up when it counted, and you go to victory lane here at Talladega Superspeedway. What's going through your mind right now?
Oh, my God. Wow. Unreal. Zane and I again racing back for a win at the end of the race. Just insanity. I finally got some luck on the Superspeedway side of things, and like you said, just tried to play it safe for the first half of the race. Figured I'd stay out back, stay out of trouble. We were able to do that, and then played a little pit strategy there, got track position, and then I got to thank Brent Roy and Evan Boyer. We were working real well together. Made the 5th groove work to get to the lead there with Brent, and then just had a couple good restarts there at the end, and you never know what can happen at Talladega. Honestly, I just wanted to get through here with no disasters. So I really wasn't going to throw any big blocks or anything like that. I was just going to kind of take what the race would give me, and it worked out. I can't believe it. I was pretty stressed about this race. So to come out of here with a car in one piece, no less a win, is unbelievable.
Both Ryan Libby and Evan Bullier were caught up in that incident on the final lap, and they both finished outside of the top 10 in tonight's race results. You took over the points lead coming into this race off of the penalty that Libby got after Myrtle Beach. This is going to set you up very well for making a repeat run at the championship. What are your thoughts knowing all of that with just 3 races to go?
Yeah, I obviously never want to see anything bad happen to the guys who are battling in the points, and Ryan's done a fantastic job all year, just being consistent. And that's kind of how it's played out here in these last few weeks. Consistency was going to be the key, and that'd be how someone would get the win. I think Ryan said it himself, top 5s weren't going to do it. You gotta win races and be consistent. So, obviously it's a relief. It will take a little bit of pressure off down the stretch, but still going to have to execute and find a way to be consistent and win these races.
He's won 7 races. He's coming off a championship last season, and he's still stressing how important it is to go to victory lane. John, you do it again. Who would you like to thank tonight?
You guys, what a heck of a race tonight. Thanks to Yuhouse Designs for sponsoring Shift. Thanks to my parents for watching. My dad was coaching me there throughout the race. Shout out to my grandmother. It's her birthday today, so maybe she brought me a little bit of luck. Thanks to my girlfriend, Brooke, and, of course, my dog. Wouldn't be able to do without him. And then thanks to all our partners, Runtool North America, Libby Septic, Digby's Variety, Turn 4 Automotive, and 4 Seasons Synthetic. I appreciate what you guys do.
He's getting great with the post-race interviews. Win number 7 on the season for John Peters and taking a huge stride forward in trying to go back-to-back for championships here in this Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series for the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing Group. The winner of tonight's Yuhouse Race Designs 50. Oh my goodness, Kevin, what a show tonight. What a thriller of an event. Great race. And we're not done. We still got more Super Speedway racing to go.
Yeah, an incredible race. And you know what? We were going to have a moment. We do have the opportunity to talk to Zane Farrell. And we'll quickly, I saw him down there with his smash race car doing a little celebratory. Zane, what a race. How about that last lap? Take us through it.
It was pretty good last lap. I was hoping Brandon would stay with me, but when I saw him get turned, I figured, well, there goes my help, and I just tried to side draft off of John as much as I could. Then we were going through 1 and 2 there, and I saw third going around, and I figured it was just like Talladega Nights all over again. John Girard versus Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
We were coming through, and I tried to break the draft down the backstretch, but John had the better run, and I should have moved up into him, but I need the points all I can get. I'm trying to get some good finishes here. I didn't want to do anything dumb. So, I mean, it was a fun race. And but give it the shout out to Corey. He freaking come from like 15th in the last lap, damaged race car, and he's in third running us down.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. I wondered if you guys were going to do the 21-43 off at turn 4 there and crash into the fence and go through the grass to see who was going to win it. But you tucked in on the back bumper there and came home for second. It's still satisfying, but I'm sure somebody just wants to beat that John Peters card, and I thought you were going to get him.
I mean, John ran a good race. I mean, he started last, and he just bided his time and did real good. So, I mean, another second place finish. We've been running real good the past couple of weeks. I just don't really want to. I mean, after a slew of bad finishes at the beginning of the year, it just sucks playing catch up. That's all.
Well, bridesmaid today, maybe you win next week. We'll let you give a quick shout out. Anybody want to say hello to watching the broadcast?
Yeah, hi, Mom and Dad, they always watch every week. My girlfriend watches. I don't know if my sister and brother-in-law watch anymore, but I always tell them to watch the races because like tonight it actually got pretty comical the last lap. Me and Corey were laughing our asses off the last couple laps.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it looked like out the rearview mirror. So congratulations on a second place finish, and next time we'll see you in victory lane. Thanks for taking the time, Zane, to talk to us.
So there we have it. The Yuhouse Race Designs 50 wrapped up here for the New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Designs Grand National Series here at Talladega. Getting set to fire things off over to Daytona International Speedway down at Daytona Beach, Florida for the Trans Service Cup Series for the Sim 500. Dual races tonight. Dual 30-lap races coming at the Daytona International Speedway. A thriller here at Talladega. A wild finish. A huge championship implication. And in the end, it was the dominating driver of the season, John Peters, coming from 23rd on the grid to take the victory, his 7th of the season. So we're going to shut things down very quickly. We will be right back up and headed over to Daytona International Speedway in a few minutes. If you've got nothing else to do, come on over. Going to be fun.